Starfield just got its first hotfix, but is it enough? We also have a few notable tips like how to downgrade your game in case you have mods or your game isn't working, and also an issue with Gamepass that we'll have to go over. We'll also go over a few extra things like some of the recent reviews that have come in, as well as a really big glitch that's out right now that essentially allows you to get infinite credits, and a whole bunch more. What's up, World Stripper? Back in the video, we're checking out all things Starfield. Okay, so let's just jump right into the patch notes. We'll get into the hotfix and what's going on with that, and also looks like there's going to be a future roadmap here as well. So like most patch notes or hotfix, they do have an opening statement here that basically tells that they are so happy that people have been playing the game and for all the feedback. They also address some of their top priority things like city maps, as well as some top blocker bugs, stability issues, as well as adding quality of life features that many have asked for, and let's be honest, realistically should have been there at launch. Now for the actual update for the 1.7.9 fixes and improvements, we do have some Xbox Series X and S improved stability related to installations. They also included here that there was various stability and performance improvements to reduce crashes and improve frame rate. However, there are some notable things that we'll have to talk about on the various stability stuff. Now there was 3 quests specifically here that were having quest blockers or essentially not allowing the player to progress. So if you've done all that money can buy Into the Unknown or Shadows and Neon quests and you've had issues there, these are likely to be fixed now. However, I have seen some posts that all that money can buy is still bugged, maybe a few others are too. I guess we'll have to wait and see if those are fixed for everybody or what ended up happening there, but I have seen some posts that those are still not fixed. It was a very small hotfix there. Pretty much kind of just a couple things fixed. We do have the roadmap here though as well that's talking about some future things planned. So other than the small targeted hotfix, they are going to address these features that are basically their top priority. There's going to be brightness and contrast controls added, HDR calibration menu. They're also finally adding an FOV slider. Not sure why that wasn't in the game on release. It was in Fallout 76, so... or at least it was added to Fallout 76 later on, so you would think that they would bring that over from the previous games. Especially since this game plays a lot like Fallout 76. I know a lot of people hated Fallout 76. I actually really liked Fallout 76. I get the game wasn't really finished and had a lot of problems, but I actually liked it. I thought it was quite enjoyable. Regardless, it's really weird that they didn't bring over some of the feature sets from that game, or the ones that they did bring over, like RNG loot tables and the grind stuff. Doesn't really make sense in a single player game, at least in my opinion. They're also adding NVIDIA DLSS support finally for PC. Seems like AMD had to backtrack there. There's a lot of stuff going on with that, and yeah, it's mostly up to rumors, but it definitely seems like AMD had to backtrack. They're also adding a 32:9 ultra-wide monitor support, and funnily enough, I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but they showed off, I think, a G9 monitor playing the game in either E3 or one of the demo showcases at Gamescom maybe. It was one of the events, but essentially they showcased that the monitor was playing the game in ultra-wide, but then the game didn't support that monitor. Or at least the people that were playing with, I think the Samsung G9, I think that's what it was, they were playing with that and they still had black bars, so it's kind of weird that they showcased it supporting it, but then on the official launch it didn't support it. That was a little bit odd there. They're also going to add a button for Eat Food, which, like other commenters have been saying, I do hope they add a button for just reading books instead of picking them up. They also said they're working closely with NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel on driver support, and each update will include new stability and performance fixes and improvements. However, I do doubt that driver support is going to fix the game's performance issues, at least drastically what people are asking for. There's going to have to be some sort of internal optimizations with this game, as there's errors and stuff like that people are pointing out. There needs to be something done on the internal and not the actual driver. In fact, I'm still on an older driver, one of them that's regarded as the best NVIDIA driver, which is 51694, at least for performance. And yeah, upgrading to the newer drivers does absolutely nothing for performance, especially for the 2000 series GPUs. The only thing the newest driver did was enable rebar by automatic. So if you already had rebar enabled for your 3000 series and you had it enabled in your BIOS as well as for the game itself, which you had to do through the NVIDIA Inspector program, essentially you'll see 0 performance increases if you've already had that enabled, or if you're like myself and you have a 2000 or lower end GPU. So yeah, the drivers are not going to do anything, and if anything, the older drivers are actually much better for performance, and it has been proven time and time again with all the bench. Now they did go on to mention here that said additionally we are working on built-in mod support for the creation engine, obviously as they said before. It will work across all platforms similar to Skyrim and Fallout. They also went over being launched early next year, and I do believe Fallout 4 took around 6 months for the creation engine to drop. It is a pretty decent roadmap. However, all of these features should have been there on launch. So while it's nice to hear that they're bringing a lot of this stuff natively to the game, you don't have to use mods or anything like that, it is odd that they released such an unfinished product there, especially with those quality of life features. This is very unfinished. So hopefully this come a lot sooner than later, although it already almost took 2 weeks for a minor hotfix. The cadence of these updates and hotfixes is incredibly slow, so I wouldn't expect much coming from Bethesda anymore for these patches, maybe native support in the mod tool. Other than that, the cadence of these patches clearly showcases that they're probably not going to be in abundance, at least from what it seems, and yeah, we'll have to wait and see on all that. Now, if your mods did break from the actual update and you are wanting to actually play the game, you can downgrade the game if you are on Steam. So a Reddit user pointed out here how to exactly do it and all the steps showcased. I'll leave a link to this down below, but essentially it's pretty easy. You're just opening up Command Console, or essentially CMD, and you'll run these 2 simple commands. It'll then re-download or download what it has to, because it also still has the re-signed package on the actual Steam database. And essentially because it's still there, it will allow you to downgrade to 1.723. It's also pretty good if you have a lot of mods that are tied to Script Extender like I do myself, so I am waiting on that, or probably will more than likely downgrade to this other version. Unfortunately for Game Pass users, I do not know if there's any way, probably more than likely not a way to downgrade, as it looks like a lot of people on Game Pass PC are having a lot of issues. We already have 2 posts up here that essentially said that the game update for Game Pass users has made it nearly unplayable or instantly crashing. A user here has reported that they've received this error specifically while using the Game Pass version. So unfortunately, if you are on Game Pass right now PC-wise, you might not be able to play the game. If I see any other way posted about how to downgrade the Game Pass version, although it is Microsoft, I assume that you cannot, I will be sure to post a link to that down below. We also did have a few new Metacritic scores posted, and yeah, the Metacritic score has severely tanked in ratings. We had a 60, a 40 review that came in from Jimquisition, and we also had another one come in from IGN Portugal. We don't have any new reviews on the side of PC, but these all have been coming in for the Xbox Series X. And the score has definitely dropped from an 87 as of the other couple days ago, and now it's down to an 84. It's hard to say that these scores aren't warranted. I definitely think they are, especially with how the game presented itself. And I currently have around 50 to 60 hours on my actual save. I have some AFK time here, but I also have 140 hours or 130 hours on Steam. People that said the game gets better after 10-15 hours, they weren't wrong, but they also kind of were. The game definitely doesn't get much better, but the quests sometimes do improve, especially if you do the faction quests. I know I've had some decent quest lines that I've actually somewhat enjoyed. However, the RPG mechanics of the game are severely, and I mean severely, watered down from previous games or even any other RPG game you've probably played in recent memory. Definitely feels less like an RPG and more on rails, especially with every single side quest. Now granted, you're allowed to play the game however you want and do whatever side quests you want, but yeah, there's definitely some on-rail aspect there. Also, 2 last-minute mentions here. I'm going to mention the real wiki, as the other wiki has some Viewbot using it or View Embedder. And this one is community run and not run by some sort of organization, so I'll leave a link down below to this one, which is technically the official wiki. There's also this weird glitch that someone figured out that essentially all the vendors have boxes underneath them. Just like Skyrim and the other games, all the vendors utilize like a box with every item that they have. And someone figured out if you head to this specific puddle in Dawnstar Caravan, there's actually a chest underneath this puddle. I'll leave a link down below to this post so you can view the whole thing there if you want to check it out. That should about cover for today's video. If you like and subscribe, until the next one. Deuces!